I remember when it was announced a few years ago that they were rebooting Jumanji and thinking it was the stupidest idea in the world, yet here I am now having been proven wrong. I am John Hayeck and welcome to my movie thoughts. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. This is the reboot, not quite sequel, but kind of retelling of the story of Jumanji, where there's 4 high schoolers played by kind of not many people that I know. Basically, you've got the shy, kind of claustrophobic, germophobic kid. You've got the jock who's on the football team. You've got the self-absorbed girl who's only liking her phone. And you've got the kind of timid girl that doesn't really put herself out there that much. The 4 of them are in detention one day and they find an old video game called Jumanji. And then they decide they're going to play video games instead of actually pay attention in detention. That rhymed. And then they get sucked into the game and assume the avatars of the characters that they chose. So the nerdy kid, who's also kind of shy, assumes the personality of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The jock kid assumes the personality of Kevin Hart. The shy girl assumes the personality of Karen Gillan, who's kind of this adventurous girl. And then the selfie-taking phone-obsessed girl is Jack Black. And then we have our premise for movie. The 4 of them need to get out of the game by winning the game. And I'll tell you guys right up front, again, I was not looking forward to this movie in the slightest. Hearing they were rebooting Jumanji, I'm like, alright, like, I don't really see where the story's gonna go from here, because, like, we don't need a reboot or remake of this movie. But then when I heard, alright, they're gonna have The Rock in it, they're gonna have Kevin Hart in it, they're gonna have Karen Gillan in it, I'm like, alright, that's some good talent. And then when the trailer came out back in July, I remember sitting in the theater to see Spider-Man Homecoming, seeing the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle trailer and thinking, yeah, this might wind up being pretty good. And coming out of it tonight, guys, it was great. I really enjoyed Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. Not only was it a really funny movie that recaptured kind of the spirit of the first one's humor, but it also was an adventurous movie that had really good characters in it. It had really great acting behind it, and had some really great lessons behind it too. And again, I was admittedly entertained through and through by the movie. The humor is good too. I didn't feel like there was too much, like, outrageous, like, physical or crude humor in it. There were some crude jokes here and there were a few people getting, like, eaten by hippos and some ridiculous stuff happens, but I never felt like it was being completely overcooked or overdone, which I appreciated, because a lot of times when you're in a jungle setting or you're in a movie with a lot of big comedic powerhouses, you can have something happen where, like, a character falls over, or as you see in the trailer, gets eaten by a hippo, and you're like, oh, that's supposed to be funny, it just kind of, like, didn't really work. But in this movie, like, they make it so outrageous that you have to laugh, and I laughed at a lot of physical humor, a lot of crude humor in this movie as well. The actors were really good in the movie as well. I thought it was hilarious how they all nailed the roles they were supposed to be in. The Rock was supposed to be this kind of, like, shy and timid guy who was really insecure, but in real life, like, The Rock is oozing charisma all the time, and I like that he kind of played a little bit of a different role for once. Kevin Hart's a little bit like Kevin Hart is in all other movies, but you still felt like he was that kind of, like, self-absorbed jock, like, big man on campus type of feel, so I like that he had that to him. He was also a big source of comedy in the movie. Karen Gillan, you still felt like was the shy girl who was also a little bit insecure about herself, and I liked seeing that. And the best one, probably, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, I think it's pretty funny they have Jack Black acting like he's this kind of, tween, like, kind of, popular girl in school. But is that going to become a gimmick in the movie that I'm just not going to wind up liking that much? Great. Best part of the movie was Jack Black playing the complete popular princess type of character. I loved seeing that throughout the entire movie, because you really feel like he committed so much that you can't even tell at some points that it is actually Jack Black, who you're used to seeing be very Jack Blackish and, like, big and kind of, doofy in other movies. You feel like it is this kind of teen girl in his body, which is crazy that he didn't break character, and that really none of them broke character, so props to them for that. The writing, as I said, was really good. It felt adventurous and humorous at the same time. You felt like the quest they were going on was really good, and that the video game setting really kind of allowed itself to be used by this type of game. It didn't feel like it was gimmicky. It didn't feel like it was just being overexploited for a new generation. It felt organic and it felt natural, which was really, really awesome to see. I also thought the lessons behind the movie were quite sweet. I thought it was one of those things where, like, you know what? Even though sometimes you might portray yourself as one thing, you actually have other feelings on the inside that make you a more well-rounded person. You see that in the case of Jack Black and Kevin Hart in the movie. You really understand that, like, you can be friends with other people even though they're not immediately in your social group all the time, and, you realize that you can, again, ultimately become who you want to be and who you aspire to be. So even though in the game you might be a little bit idealized, you can still be that person in real life too. You need to take the lessons you take from the adventure and apply them to the rest of your life, and I really appreciate that stuff. My only flaws in the movie are a little bit nitpicks, I guess I could say. There's a villain in the movie, and I didn't feel like he had to be in the movie, because there's, like, some natural forces of nature that, I guess that's kind of redundant, there's some forces of nature that come, like, out to, like, kind of terrorize our heroes in the movie to like kind of force them to stop doing what they're doing to achieve their goal in the movie. But there's also a villain that kind of controls some of those forces of nature. Yet if the villain wasn't in the movie, the forces of nature would have also still tried to stop them. So I guess if you eliminated him, you kind of would have had the exact same movie. It was just kind of like unnecessary. That being said, he was kind of entertaining in the movie. And other than that, there might have been one or two jokes that they repeated like one or two too many times. But besides that, guys, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle was a really fun adventure. I think it's going to be great for families this holiday season. I was absolutely surprised by it. I'm going to give it a B+. I think some of you guys should definitely check out. If not in theaters, definitely when it comes to Redbox or on demand or home video or something like that. But give it a theater watch too. There's some great visuals and there's some really well done action sequences. Those are just my thoughts on Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, though, guys. Be sure to let me know all of yours in the comment section down below. You guys can follow me on Twitter at JohnMHayeck. Go over to mymoviethoughts.com and subscribe to this YouTube channel for tons more posts from me. Links to all three of those being in the description down below. You guys can also like this video, comment on it, share it with some friends. I am John Hayeck, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching.